Jealousy, the smoldering fire that does not extinguish and eats up the entire creative resource of a human. Of course, yes, for what reason it may arise, cannot be very certain about that. But if it arises, whenever it arises, whosoever may be the subject for that, the original source wherefrom it originates becomes a prey to that. Therefore, it is essential for one to realize that the jealousy is a venom which is going to eliminate the original source itself, the source of its origin itself, to be more precise. Not going further to say much about that because we all mature ones do understand what jealousy it and what it can accomplish. We have to talk about the remedy, how to ensure that the impacts of jealousy are not able to destroy, not able to dismantle our own creative reservoir within ourselves. Creative time, creative understanding, creative attention. We do not deplete it as a sacrificial oblation to jealousy. Patanjali has made a mention in one of the sutras saying Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam. Maitri, friendliness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, to be glad within, Upekshanam, to ignore, disregard. You mean to say that this verse indicates that whosoever is at present the subject of our jealousy, we should become friendly or express friendliness within ourselves, hold compassion towards that person within ourselves, become glad, happy about it within ourselves. Do you mean to convey that? No, not exactly. Because it is very well understood that when there is a spell of jealousy which is cast within us due to any other person outside, it is not so easy to observe such emotions towards that person. So then, what is the fun of making a mention of such things over here if they cannot be practically brought into application? Very right. You must have heard about a spiritual saying that a being itself is its friend and a foe. The perception, the attitude shall certain that whether a person is acting as a friend to one's own interest or whether a person is acting as a foe, as an enemy to one's own interest. Here, the friendliness is not supposed to be towards the person who is the subject of jealousy, but towards our own self. We have to question during the moments of jealousy that am I a friend or an enemy to my own self? This question has to be asked to one's own self. If I'm my own friend, if I am my own friend, then obviously I must save myself from the depletion of my creative resource. Because otherwise, like a smoldering fire, it is depleting. So if I'm my own friend and I'm sure about that, then I must stop, avert, disembark from this ongoing force of jealousy. Yes, it's a force, it's an impel which does not understand much but goes on unmindfully, it goes on flowing. So the question has to be towards my own self. I have to bring myself within the scope of this question. Am I my own friend or not? Secondly, compassion towards my own self, because during such moments, I need the most aspects of the compassion instead of subjecting that other person for compassion, which I may not be able to do that. Something, it's not easy. You can't expect me to be compassionate towards a person during those moments when I am under the spell of jealousy. Please don't make such high expectations out of me. But yes, I can be compassionate towards my own interest, because for me, if myself and my own interest holds importance in comparison to any other person or subject, then it's mandatory for me to bring myself into the purview of compassion and ask myself, am I compassionate to myself? Am I compassionate towards my own interest? Am I compassionate towards my own objectives? Am I compassionate towards my own priorities? If yes, then why am I going averse to that? My action is totally averse to that. I'm becoming dispassionate instead of becoming compassionate towards that. So if I hold compassion towards my own self, if I am friendly within my own self, hold friendliness towards my own interest, then I must disengage from this jealousy, because this is diverting my entire creative resource. And I must be glad enough in order to see, prioritize, evaluate, assess my present status about my own objectives. Where do I stand? Have I been able to accomplish what all remains to be done? Why don't I bring the entire focus, the lens upon my own self? Why upon the other person? Because to the extent it shall remain outward toward the other person, I shall be totally bereft from that lens, otherwise saving me from that depletion of that creative energy. So it is necessary that out of these four mentioned by Patanjali, I merely ascribe to one towards that other person, which is upekshanam. Disregard, reject, ignore, and divert my attention from there. In another sutra, Patanjali makes a mention, vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. Avert yourself. Whatever is ongoing within you under the spell of jealousy, think totally different from that, opposite to that, so that you distract yourself within and you change the focus elsewhere. And then focus should come totally upon me, myself, me, my own interest, me, my own objectives, me, my own status. I must be able to evaluate my course of actions, what all needs to be done at my end within the ambit of my priorities, and what exactly is being done. If I can take a stock of that, I think much can be saved. And if you also start taking the stock of your own self, hold friendliness toward your own self, hold compassion towards your own self, become glad about knowing your own status, then you may also write to me in the email that is mentioned in the description. If you feel that you need someone for the hand holding, someone to listen and confide with what all is ongoing at the deeper ends of your own existence. I've given you an indication with slight elaboration upon the Sutra of Patanjali, especially in the light of jealousy, a fire hardly noticed outside, but when it permeates into our existence, then that smoldering impact, it marinates into us and we start burning. We have to save ourselves. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita towards our own self, and Upeksha towards the subject of our jealousy. That's all.